In the third year of her marriage to Hyman, her childhood friend was revealed to be pregnant out of wedlock, suspected of interfering in someone else's marriage. For her acting career, Hyman decided to divorce me. He said, "Sarai's father has been kind to me. She has no family background, and it hasn't been easy for her to get to where she is today. Now, only by marrying her and acknowledging this child can I protect her completely." I squeezed the pregnancy test slip in my bag, and the smile on my face had yet to fade. Then what about me? Our two families are well known for this marriage, and now suddenly getting a divorce, how am I supposed to explain this to my parents and relatives? Let's just say that our marriage is merely a business arrangement, without any feelings involved. Now that the cooperation between our two projects has ended, there is no longer any need for our marriage to continue. Hyman probably recalled the scene from last night when we were whispering in bed, slightly avoiding my gaze. "This is just a show. Once the media frenzy passes, I'll go to your house to pick you up, and then I'll give you a grand wedding again." I laughed. For the past 3 years, I have been abandoned time and again. And now, even my marriage is being used to fulfill her career. I suddenly realized that Hyman didn't love me at all. There's no reason for the one who is loved to always compromise and endure. If there is, it is not enough love. Where is Sarai? I want to see her. My marriage with Hyman began with her and ended with her. Ironically, she has been a part of my entire marriage, yet I have never seen her. Sarai is now being cyberbullied by the media and doesn't dare to come out. Hyman's voice was deep, and after a pause, he said, "Moreover, she has a simple personality and is now pregnant, so it's not suitable for her to meet with you." I looked up and saw the obvious protective intent on Hyman's face. Was he afraid I would bully his childhood sweetheart? 3 years of marriage, and in the end, this is the evaluation I received from him. But I am unwilling to accept it. Divorce is fine, let Sarai come and talk to me. "Vera, I told you, the divorce is only temporary, and I promise that once things settle down, I will come to bring you back. Sarai is not like you, you have a family to protect you, she only has me." Hyman's tone, which once carried an undertone of apology, is now filled with condemnation. I looked at him in surprise. "So if I don't get a divorce, it becomes me being unreasonable?" Hyman also realized that his tone was inappropriate. He walked closer to me, wanting to touch my face. I shifted my feet, avoiding his hand. In the past, whenever he neglected me or treated me poorly because of Sarai, he would lower his stance to please me. And every time I would forgive him, it was precisely because the forgiveness came too easily that it happened again and again. He awkwardly put his hands down and pale explained, "Vera, Sarai's father did me a favor. Before her father passed away, I promised I would take good care of her. Just consider it for me, okay?" I remained silent for a long time until another clear voice rang out. "Sister Vera, please help me, I just want this child to be born in a rightful manner." I turned around, and Sarai was standing at the door, a look of bewilderment on her pure face. Hyman had already stepped forward and whispered, "What are you doing here? Didn't the doctor say you need to rest and shouldn't move around too much? I see you haven't come back or contacted me, and I'm afraid Sister Vera won't agree, so I want to come and ask her in person." "Sister Vera, the child is innocent, I don't want him to bear the title of an illegitimate child from the moment he is born. Moreover, if he doesn't have a legitimate identity, my acting career will be ruined as well. As a woman, can you really bear it? Truly an actress, just a few words spoken, and the tears come rolling down." I looked at the tearful person in front of me, feeling not a shred of sympathy in my heart. What about the child's biological father? If you don't want your child to be a bastard, why not look for his father instead of asking someone else's husband for help? It's not that I don't want to look for him, but the child's father doesn't want him. Sister Vera, I really have no way out. Right now, people online are constantly digging up my information. If I don't announce the child's father soon, I will continue to be cyberbullied, and my career will come to a standstill. You were born into a wealthy family, and your parents are alive. Even if you divorce, no one would dare say anything to you. But I'm different, my parents have long since passed away, and now the father of my child has also abandoned me. The only one I can rely on is brother Hyman." She cried like pear blossoms drenched in rain, while I remained indifferent. Sarai probably also knew that I wouldn't easily agree. After all, this time was different from before. It wasn't that she felt unwell at night and needed Hyman to take her to the hospital. Nor was it that she was being followed on our wedding anniversary and needed Hyman to accompany her. In the 3 years of our marriage, Hyman had stood me up countless times because of her various matters. At first, I had no position to stop it. Later, I was too lazy to stop it. After all, no matter how angry I get, Hyman will only say one thing: "I told you before we got married, I have a benefactor's daughter, and I promised to take good care of her. You said you didn't mind that we got married." I was speechless. I thought that gratitude could be expressed with money and resources. I thought that care could be provided by hiring a nanny or a bodyguard. Hyman's care is hands-on, and at any time, for anyone, Sarai is always the top priority. My first meeting with Hyman was a case of a hero saving a beauty, and from that moment, I fell deeply in love, while he had no impression of it at all. In my senior year, I was preparing to go to a mountain for my graduation project, but halfway there, the car broke down. The passing vehicles came and went, but none dared to stop and help me. As the sky grew darker, my phone still had no signal. I was so anxious that tears welled up in my eyes, but a car passing by in the distance suddenly came to a stop. As Hyman walked down from the cockpit, the sunlight came from behind him. In that moment, I seemed to see a deity descending. But Hyman didn't know what was wrong with my car either. He could only suggest taking me to town to meet up with my friends. Moreover, once we leave this mountainous area, there should be a signal, and we can contact the repair company then. To make me believe him, he introduced himself as Hyman, the eldest son of the He family group. Although I don't know him, I know the He group. From his attire and the vehicle he drives, I can tell he shouldn't be lying. But I still did not let down all my guard. I only told him my surname was Yi and that I was a student. On the way, I learned that she was the daughter of the benefactor who was visiting the set for filming, and I was worried that she might be bullied on her first day in the crew. Perhaps it was the tension that had built up for too long, or maybe it was Hyman's overly gentle tone, but as I talked, I unexpectedly fell asleep. When I slowly woke up, Hyman was outside smoking, and I was draped in his coat, while the car had long since stopped at the place where I had arranged to meet my friend. After that, we had no further connection, and I never dared to tell my family about this incident. But I have developed a habit of paying attention to news about the He group. Half a year later, his family group wanted to enter the port city and proposed a marriage alliance with my family. At that time, I was preparing to study abroad, and my parents directly refused. But I heard from my brother that the project partner is his family, and I thought this was a match made in heaven. Then I gave up my studies, persuading my parents and brothers to agree to the marriage, but it had to be Hyman. My elder brother strongly disagrees, firstly because this project has no need for a marriage alliance for our family. Secondly, there are many uncles and older brothers in his family, and the competition is fierce. Thirdly, Hyman's mother passed away early and had no background, making it very difficult for him to rise to power even if he had the ability and ambition. They didn't understand why I was so determined to marry Hyman, but in the end they still granted my wish. They believe that with my character, family background, and appearance, it is only a matter of time before Hyman falls in love with me, even if it is a marriage of alliance. I still remember the look in his eyes when he discovered that the bride was me at the engagement banquet. The surprise and amazement in his eyes intertwined, and the first thing he said was, "Is it you?" I smiled slightly and replied, "It is me." Immediately followed by the words, "fiancé." That entire night, the smile at the corner of his mouth never faded. A good beginning also gave me confidence in managing our marriage. After getting married, we had endless topics to talk about every day and countless shared interests. I learned to make soup and cook for him, and he accompanied me to the comic convention I love. In the process of getting along, he slowly fell in love with me, and I loved him even more because of my understanding of him. I thought our marriage would be like what is portrayed on television, a marriage of convenience, love coming after the wedding. Finally, the happy ending arrived. Until he missed my birthday dinner for the first time because of Sarai. Then, on the anniversary, we had promised to travel abroad, and even to accompany me back to Hong Kong for the new year. At first, I didn't know. Hyman probably kept it from me because he was afraid I would overthink it. Until their outing was exposed by the media, others were unaware, but I recognized him solely by his silhouette. I was furious at his deception and went straight back to my mother's house. He put everything down and rushed over that night to explain to me. Sarai's father saved me when I was young, sparing me from a car accident. When her father passed away, I promised to take good care of Sarai. Vera, the person I love is you. As for Sarai, I have always regarded her as a sister. I cannot forget the life-saving grace. You can understand me, right? I looked at his haggard face, his slightly reddened eyes, and easily forgave him. In the end, he took advantage of my love for him, and it had become a habit for him to make me back down every time. Now, looking back on my mother's advice at that time, it truly turned out to be prophetic. At that time, when she knew the reason I was returning home but still chose to continue this marriage, my mother said something to me. Vera, in a love between two people, there cannot be a place for a third person, whether it be familial love or gratitude. You can tolerate your lover putting you behind others once or twice, but can you endure it for a lifetime? It turned out that I couldn't. I ignored the crying Sarai and instead asked the man who stood silently. Have you really decided to divorce me? What if I told you I'm also pregnant? Are you going to be the father of the child in her womb or the father of my child? When Hyman heard that I was also pregnant, his eyes instantly brightened. Vera, is this true? Are we having a child? I nodded slightly, intending to take out the test results from my bag. But Sarai suddenly spoke up. Brother Hyman, are you not going to take care of me anymore? Didn't you say you would be the father of my child? Since you are no longer willing, I will take my leave. Sarai said, turning to prepare to leave. I don't know if it was intentional or if her movements were too large, but my stomach was hit by her elbow, causing a faint pain. Hyman, however, was completely unaware. He hurried to catch up, grabbing Sarai's hand, and whispered to her, Don't worry, Vera has always known my difficulties, she should just be testing me. After calming Sarai, Hyman walked in front of me. The tone was no longer agitated, and the look in their eyes seemed to be that of someone looking at a petulant child. Vera, stop messing around. We started trying to conceive 6 months ago. How could we not get pregnant all this time, and now just because Sarai is pregnant, you are too? I've already explained this to you today. No matter what you say now, this marriage is definitely going to end. He finished speaking and took out the divorce agreement he had prepared earlier. Just sign it. Since I've already promised Sarai, nothing you say will change my mind. You don't want us to reach the point of filing for divorce either. I gently touched my increasingly painful belly, and I guess the baby also felt that he was not expected by his father. Forget it. Since that's the case, why force it? I took the divorce agreement and simply signed my name. After signing, Hyman looked at me, hesitating to speak, and finally just said, I'll move out for a while, and after we get the divorce certificate, you can stay in Hong City for a while. Then he carefully helped Sarai leave. I waited until I could no longer see their figures, then, enduring a pain that grew stronger with each moment, I dialed 911. When it comes to matters concerning Sarai, Hyman's actions are very swift. That night, he posted on Weibo, admitting that Sarai was pregnant with his child. Some questioned his infidelity during marriage, and Sarai knew the truth. He publicly replied that our marriage was a business arrangement, devoid of any feelings, and that we had long agreed to divorce. He even shared the signatures on the divorce agreement. However, the netizens were not convinced. After all, I had attended a charity dinner with him a month ago. But the power of capital is strong. All the questioning remarks were deleted overnight, leaving only blessings. Several popular streamers who led the questioning have either had their accounts banned or received a lawyer's letter from the He family group. My ex-wife, who has been divorced from me, seems to have evaporated from the world, no longer existing. The day I was discharged from the hospital, it was pouring rain. When Hyman walked over with an umbrella through the rain, we both froze. I guess no one expected to meet each other here in just a few days. He looked at me, wanted to come closer, and by chance, Sarai came out. She happily threw herself into Hyman's arms. "Why are you here? Didn't you say the company was busy? It's raining, and I'm worried about you. Let me take you to the car." Under the pouring rain, Hyman tightly protected her in front of him. Before leaving, Sarai turned back proudly and said 2 words to me with her lips moving: "Goodbye." Just right, this is also what I want to say to them: goodbye, never to see you again. A few minutes later, my phone received a message from Hyman: "Vera, wait for me a moment, I'll drop Sarai off and come to pick you up." I didn't wait. Instead, I rushed into the rain, hailed a taxi, and headed straight for the airport. When I walked out of the airport, I saw my brother had come to pick me up in person. He was holding his phone in his right hand, and with his left hand, he gently rubbed my head. Just arrived, didn't ask. After sitting on the plane for several hours, let her go back and rest for a bit before we talk. Alright, you all wait at home, we'll be back soon. My brother hung up the phone, his gaze swept around me, and he raised an eyebrow slightly at the bag I was holding. "Is this all you have? Are you leaving with nothing?" The guilt I felt for my family vanished in an instant, and I rolled my eyes at him. How is that possible? Hyman is practically leaving with nothing. It is likely that there is guilt in his heart, and it is also possible that in Hyman's mind, we will remarry sooner or later, so apart from the shares of the He family company and the house we live in, all the remaining movable and immovable property has been given to me in the divorce agreement. As for me, a divorce is a divorce, there's no truth or falsehood in it. But I won't be pretentious and say I don't want it, this is what I deserve. After returning home, I took a nap and explained the reasons for the divorce at the dinner table. My parents believe that Sarai is Hyman's true love. Brother is more direct: "Hyman, this idiot, has someone in his heart and still comes to harm you?" But they all felt that it was better to part ways now. I am still young and can continue to live my life. As for my child who came briefly and was lost, I did not speak of him. I will let those who should remember him do so forever. After dinner, my brother and I had a heart-to-heart. "Is that child Sarai really not Hyman's?" I shook my head, even though Hyman always chose her without hesitation between Sarai and me. But they are indeed innocent. It's not that I trust Hyman too much. It's just that I understand Sarai. If there really was something between them, she wouldn't keep using tricks to get Hyman away from me. I'm afraid she has already come with evidence. That's strange. Sarai is now a rising star, and it's been nearly a month since it was revealed that she is pregnant out of wedlock, yet the media hasn't uncovered who the father of the child is? In the end, I can only let Hyman be the one to take over. Hyman is willing, and the child's biological father is also willing? I'm suddenly a bit interested. I glanced at my brother, knowing that he had taken over the Yi group for many years and had his own ways of gathering information. "By the way, my parents asked me to ask you what your plans are for the future." "I haven't thought it through yet, maybe I'll continue the studies that were interrupted before." I thought about it. After all, if I hadn't gotten married, I might have just graduated now. "Alright, are you still planning to go to Country M? When are you going?" "I'll have someone go over first, to tidy up the house and everything." "No rush, I'll stay at home for a while and wait until I get the divorce certificate before going abroad." "Alright, you can decide these matters for yourself." After finishing the conversation that Mom and Dad had assigned to us, my brother and I can talk about our private thoughts. He said this and walked over to pat my head. "Have you been feeling very sad these days? We are not by your side. I didn't cry when I got divorced, and I didn't cry when I lay alone in the hospital. But now I suddenly feel like crying. I dare not speak. I'm afraid that if I do, the tears will flow first." My brother noticed my sadness, and he gently hugged me. "Go ahead and cry, you're sad and wronged, you should let it out. There is no need to be overly strong in a person's life who hasn't encountered a few scumbags." Loving someone wholeheartedly is not wrong, the wrong lies with those who do not know how to cherish it. I know you are unwilling to accept this relationship. Don't worry, Hyman will regret it sooner or later. There are hundreds of ways to repay kindness, yet he chose the one that hurts you the most. He is taking advantage of your love to act recklessly. He says he cannot forget the Jiang family's kindness, but he has forgotten. These past few years, the reason he has been able to elevate Sarai and protect her today is because of whom? If it weren't for our family's support, he would still be an unappreciated young master at home today. It would be even more impossible for him to defeat his uncles and brothers, to become the leader of their family group. People, once they reach a high position, easily forget their roots. Those uncles and brothers in the He family group have only been defeated, not dead. I understand what my brother means, and I also believe he knows his limits, but I still raised my head to remind him. Brother, wait until I get divorced, before you take action. I don't want my divorce settlement to shrink significantly. After listening, my brother laughed, pointed at my forehead with his finger, and said that as long as you don't protect it, even if it shrinks, he will compensate you when he comes back. I immediately covered my forehead and pretended to walk away in anger. How could I protect you? Just take the opportunity to bully me. I'm going to sleep now, not chatting with you anymore. What I actually want to say to my brother is that I am not resentful, it's just that this ending does not match the determination I had at the beginning. The days at home passed quickly. I automatically blocked out any news related to Hyman. I started preparing for going abroad. A week before getting the divorce certificate, Hyman sent me a message, "Where are you?" I pretended not to see it. After a while, another message came. "Don't forget the time for court." I still didn't reply to him. Since that day he turned and left with Sarai, there has been nothing left to say between us. Now silence is the best response I can give him. Because of an important document, Hyman returned to the villa. The house was empty, and for some reason, he felt a bit anxious. Vera married far away in the capital, where she has no relatives or friends. Ever since the first time she went to her house to explain the matter of Sarai. Even when she was angry, she had never left home in a fit of rage. So Hyman never worried, he knew Vera loved him and would always be waiting for him at home. Hyman comforted herself that she had just gone out and intended to wait for her at home. She took out her phone and sent a WeChat message to Vera, "Where are you?" I received a call from Sarai. "Brother Hyman, where have you gone?" "I've returned to the villa, what's wrong?" "I made soup for you and brought it over, but there's no one at your home, so I can't go in." "It's so cold outside, when will you be back?" Sarai's voice came through the microphone, tinged with a hint of urgency. The sky outside was getting darker, the night falling low. Hyman knew he should refuse at this moment, but listening to the gentle voice on the phone telling him how hard it was to make the soup pot, he ultimately softened his heart. Vera had not replied, and the last conversation with her was still that chance encounter at the hospital. That day, when Hyman was about to leave, Sarai said there were paparazzi near the hospital and held him back. Hyman looked at the chat history, frowning slightly, so he didn't go back that day and didn't inform Vera. So much time has passed, and he didn't know how to explain it again. Vera is a bit confused in life, doesn't remember things, and probably has long forgotten them. Fearing that he would forget the date for the divorce proceedings, she hurried back while sending another message, reminding him not to forget the time to go to the court. Sitting in the car, he flipped through the chat history between the two of them. Before he proposed the divorce, Vera used to send him a lot of messages every day. Sharing the little bits of life, she is very sentimental, sometimes a beautiful wildflower by the roadside makes her feel happy. He also enjoyed being confided in by her, in these words, he could feel the love. "It's okay, just wait a little longer. Once they remarry, their relationship will be restored." Hyman put down his phone and comforted himself in his heart. But he forgot that a wounded heart cannot be healed again. When disappointment accumulates enough, people will leave. The day we went to get the divorce certificate was a good day. The sunlight broke through the clouds, warming people all around. Everything went smoothly. I entrusted the entire property transfer to my lawyer. As for the things in the villa, they are organized by my personal organizer. My only requirement for them is that everything given by Hyman, whether jewelry or real estate, be sold off and converted into cash transferred to my account. I put away the divorce certificate, said goodbye to Hyman, and turned to leave. He followed, wanting to take my hand, but hesitated just above it. Vera, let's talk. I didn't mean to not pick you up at the hospital entrance last time. There were reporters, and it wasn't appropriate for us to be too close. Are you still angry? I haven't been in touch with you lately, mainly because Sarai has been quite emotional during her pregnancy. Plus, with some rumors online, she's been a bit depressed and has become extremely dependent on me, fearing even more that I might go back to you and leave her. I'm also very tired lately, with work and Sarai's matters. I really feel stretched thin. You can understand me, right? I am very fortunate that my heart has long been broken, and I hold no expectations for him. But that doesn't mean I won't be disappointed. So what? If that day I waited for you at the hospital entrance, not only would I not see you, but I wouldn't even get an explanation from you? Even if you want to show affection to Sarai, do you have to ignore my existence? Am I your reference for loving her? Have you ever thought about whether I would get wet in such heavy rain that day? Have you ever cared about why I would go to the hospital in such weather? No, I wanted to ask you, but later Sarai wasn't feeling well, and I got busy and it was too late. Later Sarai said you looked well, and you must have gone to visit a friend, so I didn't disturb you. I shook my head and interrupted him. Hyman, there's no need for an explanation anymore, it's over between us. There is no end. Vera, you promised me that we were only temporarily divorced. You go back to Hong City for a while, wait until Sarai's baby is born. No, wait a few months until the public pressure eases, and then I will come to bring you back. He tried to convince me that he truly loves me and that he is also very helpless about the divorce. But I don't want to hear it anymore. Hyman, the divorce certificate is real, and my sadness is real too. Do you know why I no longer contact you? Because for me, divorce is divorce, there is no such thing as true or false. I hope that after today, we part ways happily, each to our own joy. Everything that needed to be said has been said. I check my phone, it's almost time to head to the airport. But Hyman seems to be deeply affected. Before, between Sarai and me, he chose to abandon me time and again for his so-called gratitude, and I forgave him time and again. Gave him the illusion that I would forgive him forever. Always waiting. His eyes instantly became moist, his lips turned pale. Ignoring my resistance, he forcefully pulled me into his embrace. Vera, do you not want me anymore? No, you said you would understand me. You clearly know that I don't love Sarai. I love you, right? Are you very concerned about the divorce? Then let's not get divorced, let's remarry. But, Hyman, you didn't say that when I was unwilling at the time, you said this was the best way. So, you have a way too, but sacrificing me is the easiest. I looked over his shoulder and saw Sarai walking in the distance. She wore sunglasses and a mask, and even 4 months pregnant, she still wore high heels. It can be seen from her rosy complexion that she has been well taken care of these past few months. She walked up to us, stood behind Hyman, and gently tugged at his sleeve. I met her wary gaze with a nonchalant smile, struggling to push Hyman away. Tell him, the person you are going to marry has arrived. After saying this, she looked up into his eyes and spoke earnestly. Hyman, we have known each other for so long, and I have never made a request of you. Now I want you to promise me one thing. You say. His voice trembled. After today, I will not enter the capital unless necessary, and you will not enter the port city. From now on, we will never have any dealings with each other. Upon hearing my request, Hyman was filled with shock. He never expected me to be so resolute. But I didn't expect his answer when I stated this condition. The world is so big, and I am not just an ordinary girl without any family background. Avoiding someone is just too easy. I turned around and left gracefully. The sun is just right, and the breeze is gentle. It's perfect for going out. Hyman had always thought that after my divorce, I would return to my parents' home, waiting for him to come and pick me up. But he didn't know that at this moment, my parents and older brother were busy figuring out how to make him suffer, and I certainly wouldn't go back to disturb them. Just before boarding, the phone rang with the sound of "Bro? It's all set, the remaining lawyers are handing over." "Well, do as you see fit. He has nothing to do with me anymore. I'll be boarding soon, and when I arrive I will change my number and contact you then." "I know. By the way, if Hyman contacts you, tell him I left something for him in the villa safe." "Okay, brother, goodbye." After arriving in Country M, although my brother has already made arrangements for my life. But after all, I have been away from campus for a long time, and now I not only have to learn professional knowledge, but also get used to the different language environment. Most people who study art have their own inner world. They do not ask others to understand, nor do they delve too deeply into others. Here, others only look at your grades and character. They do not care about your identity or your past. It is a good place suitable for forgetting. So when my brother sent me several news links, I was momentarily taken aback. The popular young star, with a flat belly, suspected of having a miscarriage to climb the ranks, now sees her dreams of a wealthy life shattered. I couldn't be bothered to open it, so I just called directly. "How is it, exciting or not?" Brother's voice, lightly laced with a smile, came through the microphone. "I didn't see it, just tell me what happened." I wanted to find out who the father of the child in Sarai's belly was, but it turned out she wasn't pregnant at all. Probably Hyman has some doubts as well. After all, it's been 5 months, and the belly can't still be that flat. The play must be performed in full. She either has to get pregnant with Hyman's child later, or she has to have an abortion. Hyman didn't give her a chance, and I didn't give her a chance either. My brother spoke with pride, like a child. I can understand him. When I was young, I was the closest to him and listened to everything he said. The first time I interrupted him was when I married Hyman. The first time he rebelled against him was after learning of Sarai's existence and still forgiving Hyman. So he never liked Hyman. In a normal situation, most people would try to please their big brother-in-law, but Hyman just happens to dislike him. The two did not lower their heads, holding their ground for many years. But whether I like it or not, Hyman was able to sit in the position of president of the He family, thanks to the efforts of my brother. What he seeks is merely to add some weight to my presence in Hyman's heart. After all, the grace of saving a life is grace, and the grace of support is also grace. So brother contacted the media to expose her fake pregnancy. That's so boring. The truth is only interesting when you discover it yourself. I just changed the hospital she had arranged to go to when she was sent to the hospital after her miscarriage. This is such a big deal. Hyman will definitely accompany us. But looking at the content of this news, it seems that the He family's public relations team has put in a lot of effort. Vera, don't worry. Hyman can protect him now, because he still holds power over the He family. In the future, that may not be the case. I know my brother will take care of everything for me, but this is my personal matter. How can I stand by and do nothing? Brother, has Hyman contacted you? Called and asked for your contact information. I didn't give it. The brother snorted softly, his tone turning cold. Does he think of you as a garbage dump? Recycling all kinds of trash. What? You don't feel sorry for him, do you? No, brother, I just want to make the fire between Hyman and Sarai burn more fiercely. I said that some things are meant to be remembered by everyone, and I shouldn't be the only one in pain. If he contacts you again, tell him there's something I left for him in the villa safe. As for Sarai, you don't need to worry about that. Hyman will hate her more than we do after he sees it. Free up your hands and focus on pulling him down from the position of president of the He family. My brother didn't ask me what I left for Hyman. He knew I didn't want to say. In fact, it's not that I don't want to, but that I can't. I fear that if he knows, he will lose his sanity. He loves me so much. Since childhood, he has never gone against my wishes. If he knew that I had once been pregnant with a child who was lost before growing up, it was still because the child's father gave up for a lie. I was afraid my brother would lose his sanity out of anger. I had a miscarriage and lay in the hospital at that time. But Hyman accompanied Sarai everywhere to show off their love. He said it was a fake divorce, yet he hadn't even sent a single WeChat message. At that moment, I understood. Both my child and I were the ones he had abandoned. And those who are loved are always fearless. That's why Sarai dares to use a non-existent child to force a marriage. So Hyman insisted on getting a divorce, regardless of whether I was really pregnant or not. In the safe, I placed a painting, an ultrasound report, and a discharge record. The girl in the painting is drawn based on his past expectations, with my brows and eyes, and his outline. He once said he hoped the child would be like me, and he would spoil her into the happiest little princess. The discharge record clearly stated the reason for the miscarriage: excessive emotional fluctuations and external impact. I have always been hiding from him that I haven't really let go. Instead, I am waiting for the right moment. Waiting for the time when he feels the most guilty towards me. It is also the time when he regrets what he has done to himself the most. I want him to regret even more. My child should not be forgotten by his father. Sure enough, just a few days later, negative news broke about Sarai's tax evasion, and all her endorsements were terminated. And Hyman also filed for divorce from her. Their divorce battle was tumultuous and widely discussed. Even though I was abroad, I could hear about it every day. It makes sense, Sarai couldn't easily get a divorce. Without the help of the He family, she couldn't even come up with the breach of contract fee. And Hyman, after experiencing her deception, losing her lover and child, could still force herself to forgive because of her father's kindness. After the divorce turmoil, there was news of a change in the president of the He family. Hyman was expelled from the He group and left unemployed at home. My brother said he has been asking about me all over the world. But he has been stopped. As for my contact information, he is even less likely to obtain it. My friend, who looks down on his actions during the divorce, would never tell him. And his friends had all been deleted when I got divorced. After all, there's no need to stay in touch with people I will never see again in this life. It had been a long time since I last saw Hyman. At that time, I was going through a grand confession. After the fireworks disappeared, 5 words appeared in the sky: Vera, I love you. I shifted my gaze from the sky and looked at the person in front of me, who usually exuded confidence but was particularly reserved at this moment. Senior brother, do you have nothing to say to me? Hurry up, hurry up. Senior brother, don't be timid, come on. Mutual friends kept urging, and even strangers passing by on the street offered kind smiles. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Hyman under the street light not far away. In just a year of not seeing him, he has lost a lot of weight. He looks emaciated, utterly haggard. Vera, I like you. Can you be my girlfriend? My thoughts were pulled back. Smiling, she accepted the bouquet and replied, I would love to. Really? Did you really agree? Senior brother happily picked me up and kept spinning around. Don't worry, I will definitely treat you very well in the future, and I will never make you regret today's decision. I exclaimed, then shouted, I believe, let me down quickly. Senior brother. In the midst of the laughter and noise, my gaze met Hyman's as he walked over from a distance. He looked at my smiling face and finally stopped in his tracks. By now, we all have our new lives, and there's no need for goodbyes. In the end, he turned and left after pausing for a moment. Kiss me, kiss me. Amidst a chorus of cheers, I withdrew my gaze. Gently caressing the face of the person before her with both hands, she slowly leaned in and kissed him in response to his eager gaze. In the distance lies my past, which I have long abandoned. What awaits me in front is my future, and I am filled with anticipation.